Welcome to this week's Weekly Tea, where we're going to be talking about creatine, from the most basic of creatine products, but arguably not the worst, creatine monohydrate, all the way up to creatine blends and muscle building powders, which are essentially creatine based. So I think to start, we'll start with the age-old researched creatine monohydrate. Comes in numerous sizes across numerous brands. It's great value for money. You'll often find it added into a stack at tnutrition. Right now on this table, for example, we've got a 200 gram size, a 300 gram size and a 500 gram size. It's possibly the most researched muscle building ingredient around.
It's been 101 years of research behind the ingredient. And to date, nothing's beat monohydrate in a dose-for-dose study. So it's the starting off of creatine monohydrate is the king right now. It's never been beaten. There are other forms, there's other types which yield other benefits, but as in terms of muscle growth, strength and power, the reasons we're taking it an actual creatine muscle level after the study, nothing's actually beat monohydrate so far. And it's the cheapest. And it's the most researched, and it's the most provable. You can't go wrong. I think it is a fundamental, it's a pillar in any supplement stack, in my opinion.
Agreed.
If you're training with weights, it's fair to say, if you're training with weights, you should be taking creatine. You will be better on creatine by taking it. It's been studied for 100 years and proven for 100 years. It's not like one of them ingredients where like it's conflicting evidence where it's done really well in this study, not so good in this study.
Everything is.
It's a fact. Our body creates it from 3 amino acids in our body through protein that we eat anyway. We get about 1 gram a day from red meat and fish and stuff like that anyway. Meats, so that goes on to, I think you go on to creatine myths is a big one. The myths around creatine, what the common misconceptions around creatine, because there's so many. We can kind of address them all in one.
Firstly, I think creatine isn't steroids. You'd be surprised the amount of people who creatine is still a grey area. It's a natural substance, as such, like Kort said, it's actually produced by the body. It's found in higher dosages in red meats. So again, if you have 2 or 3 steaks a week, your creatine consumption will be higher than some.
On average, you get 1 gram a day. On average, they say. So you're getting it anyway. So that's where it came from, the myths, because people say you've got to cycle it. And that's got some detrimental effect to any organs or any bodily function of yours, and it doesn't, because you don't. Your body actually creates its own creatine from 3 amino acids. And you get it from natural foods anyway, so even if you did cycle it or not, you're not going to get away from taking it, and it doesn't actually cause any detriment, otherwise your body wouldn't make it. I think that's the biggest part of it. Your body wouldn't make it if it had some detriment to it. So in terms of cycling, you definitely don't need to do it.
I think it's about 3.4 grams of creatine monohydrate actually yields 3 grams of pure creatine. So you've got to bear that in mind when you take it. I think also from an industry point of view, it's actually disappointing in a way that the most researched, proven muscle builder is almost kind of given away as such. You'd think for something with so much research and proven science behind it, that there'd be a very big kind of price attached to it. But essentially, the monohydrate is very, very good value for money.
It's a benefit, but I always said, and I said this on our social a few months back, if this came out today as a new product, as a new ingredient, with the scientific backing it has now, you'd be selling, this tub would be worth 50, 60, maybe £70 a tub.
Agreed,
There's nothing that yield this amount of power, strength, and this amount of ability. It's just a fact. I think it's so readily available, it's so easy to make, and it's been around for, we say, 101 years. Well, it's 101 years been studied for. So it's, as I say, it's a fundamental. You're going to be better if you are lifting weights with it than without it. That's been proven now, and it's not really a debatable subject how precious it is. But it's kind of a benefit and a not in an industry way. The most benefit you are going to get is the cheapest. So for the consumer, they're happy.
Yeah.
From a supplement, from a formulating point of view, you're giving it away now, which you're charging a lot more for things that aren't scientifically as backed as creatine.
Correct.
Other myths, what the main myths that you come across? I say water retention.
Yeah.
It does cause water retention, but that's intracellular water retention, so it draws water intracellularly. It's called an osmolyte. So your muscles become more hydrated. You hold that water in your muscles. You become bigger. You're fuller. You become more pumped, and it's exactly what we want. So don't be scared of the word water retention, because you're retaining it intracellularly, so it's exactly where we want it to be. So people say they hold water on creatine, you actually do, but in your muscles. So.
It's negligible.
You definitely wouldn't notice water, extracellular water retention. It's not happening, in my opinion. So you cycle it, your water retention, it's not steroidal or hormonal. What else do you get around it? Is there any other ones? Cycled loading. You don't really need to load. The creatine has a saturation point, so when you're at creatine saturation, it works at its most optimal. But getting to that saturation point, whether you take 20 grams in one day, whether you take 40 grams in a week, or 5 grams a day continually, it's going to build up. So for me personally, to avoid any gastric distress or any gastric distress or any bad side effects from taking too much of it, take 1 serving a day until you're up to your dose, and you just continually take that 1 serving per day. Doesn't really need to be pre or post workout. I think there's a study to say it got optimally absorbed post workout with a whey protein shake, but again, very, very negligible. If you get your 1 serving between 5 and 10 grams a day, you're sorted. You've got yourself covered of all bases. But then you've got your different types. And then obviously you've got your yielded into this, so you've got so much to talk about.
So we'll move on to a different type of creatine now. If you want to do Cre-Alkaline as such, which is essentially pH buffered, pH correct creatine. Right here in front of us, we've got the Applied Nutrition tub, and we've got the EFX Sports, who I think they were the first to market.
Oh really?
I'm sure they were with Cre-Alkaline as such. I think they were. 60 servings in both tubs, 1500 milligrams of Cre-Alkaline per 2 capsules. So essentially that's, I assume this is a month's worth. 2 capsules 30 minutes prior to workout and 2 after. And Applied Nutrition is 1 serving, which is 2 capsules.
So basically it's creatine, it's Cre-Alkaline's creatine with sodium to increase the absorption of it. It doesn't outperform it, but the benefit this brings is that you can have the same benefit of creatine monohydrate at a lower dose and take it in encapsulated form. If you're taking creatine monohydrate in a capsule, which some people want to do, you then have to take 5 grams in either a massive capsule or a load of small capsules, which people don't want to do. So this is where things like creatine hydrochloride, Cre-Alkaline, and things like that, which you can yield really good benefits at low doses, come into play. Because either if you're having a scoop with loads of ingredients and you want to keep the scoop size down, you can have your Magnesium creatine chelate, which is in here, which is a creatine absorbed a bit better, or Cre-Alkaline, which will bring down the serving size to scoop size, or obviously the capsule size. So you're not getting a less of a product, you're not getting a better of a product, you're kind of getting the same dose for dose dependency. It's like 1.5 gram compared to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate is going to yield kind of the same results. But the claims that come with Cre-Alkaline is no loading phase, as we just spoke about. You don't really need a loading phase anyway. And the fact you can take it in a capsulated form and it's buffered, so it does appeal to some people. And if you want to take creatine in a capsule pre or post workout, you can do it instead of having to take another powder along with your pre-workout, or maybe a BCAA and then a pump pre-workout and a performance. Just get a capsulated one, it mixes things up for you as well, doesn't it?
We'll speak briefly about creatine hydrochloride. Dosing wise, this is a bit different. 750 milligram capsules. In this particular tub there's 120, so again it's great value for money. The dosage on this is 1 capsule per day per £100, which is 45 kilo of body weight. So for the 220 pound man, aka 100 kilo, you're looking at between 2 and 3 capsules a day. I'd probably say 2 on non-training days and 3 on training days as such.
Yeah, the kind of go-to is about 2 grams of creatine hydrochloride. Again, yields the benefit of no loading phase. The claims of coming with that. You can take it in a capsule, and if you're taking it in a powdered form, it only takes up 2 grams of the scoop size, so you're not having to take a gigantic scoop. And I know products who have used creatine hydrochloride in capsules prefer that over having to have maybe a 7 or 8 capsule serving. They can get it into 2 to 3, even 4 capsules to get creatine hydrochloride and a few other things to increase the absorption of it and stuff like that. So that's where that holds that benefit. I personally like creatine hydrochloride because you can take so little and yield so much.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do like it, and you're avoiding any gastric distress. I find a lot of people who've come in who have had upset stomachs from creatine monohydrate, I've moved them onto hydrochloride, and they've had no stomach distress at all. So yields that, because some people do get an upset stomach from creatine monohydrate. So if you do, try out hydrochloride, and you'll find that'll be a much easier option for you.
Both in terms of the delivery too. Obviously it's capsulated, whereas you don't really see creatine hydrochloride in a powder, and in Muscle Tech did a Cre-Actor.
Yeah.
But I think it was a blend, wasn't it?
Because it tastes awful, that's why. With creatine monohydrate, you can put it in your BCA, you put it in your protein, you can't tell it's there. Hydrochloride, because it's so concentrated, then it's bonded to a salt, you can taste it. You can taste the salt ion bond to it. So when you put it in your protein or you put it in your amino acids, it totally changes the flavour. And we know flavour is virtually 90% of any product, isn't it? So that's why it's mostly capsulated. And I think the same for creatine as well, but never tasted creatine powder version.
Don't intend to either. Let's speak briefly about magnesium, creatine, chelate.
Yeah.
And then we'll go on to blends.
So it's magnesium with creatine and chelate bond onto it to increase the absorption. Magnesium holds its own benefits involved in 300 interactions in your body, from everything from hydration purposes. It holds magnesium. There's forms of magnesium that help remove catecholamas out your brain to get you better sleep. That's why you'll see zinc magnesium in sleep aids. Helps get rid of all your energy giving neurotransmitters, but for muscle building as well, it helps replace the magnesium while you're sweating it out during your training. And obviously the chelate is anything chelated is absorbed better. So again, it's one of the most preferred creatines in the market right now, because magnesium yields a whole list of benefits by itself. Bonding it to something which we've spoken about yields a whole type of benefit itself. It's magic.
But I think that's a perfect opportunity to move on to Performax's Cre-Ax.
Yeah.
This is 45 servings per container for £15. It's great value for money. That works out about 33p a serving. Each scoop is 5 grams. One serving is 1 scoop. Of that 5 grams, it's creatine monohydrate, which we spoke about, magnesium, creatine, chelate, which we just spoke about, and creatine anhydrous too. It doesn't disclose the blend, but if I was a betting man, I'd say it's 33. That's what you get in. So you get a whole load of benefits essentially, because the absorption that Kort speaks about. Creatine monohydrate is obviously the most researched sports nutrition product on the planet, arguably. Creatine anhydrous. Should we tell the podcasters / viewers what's so different about creatine anhydrous?
Creatine anhydrous is in here to balance the creatine blend that you're losing through magnesium, if that makes sense. So because you have to bond creatine with magnesium, you're then yielding a lower amount of creatine. With creatine anhydrous, it's actually been stripped of its water molecule, so yields the most amount of creatine. It's actually at 99%. So with the balance that you lose creatine from the magnesium, you're balancing that back up with the creatine anhydrous, so actually yields a higher level of creatine because it is a creatine product. So it's actually quite a clever move from Performax there. They've understood that.
Sure.
Bonding it to magnesium is bringing down the actual overall creatine amount of what you're actually taking it for. Although you are getting the magnesium there, which is the list of benefits we've spoken about. They've kind of flipped the seesaw with the creatine anhydrous to increase the amount of overall creatine in there. So it's a clever formulation move, in my opinion.
Speaking of formulations, 3 products left to go over, including my personal favourite. We'll go over Rich Piana's 5% Cre-Aten first. I think the clue's in the name. 10 different types of creatine. So there's 10 different types of creatine in a 5 gram creatine blend. This product also contains 1.5 grams of a creatine accelerate blend. That essentially is going to help with absorption and does also contain ingredients which will work synergistically alongside the creatine to improve muscle building, strength, power, etc. I must admit I've not really done much research on this formula, but looking at it now, it's certainly comprehensive. Maybe not at the dosages that 5% are disclosing there.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing you need to get from there is that again, we speak about the 0.1% differences between them all. You're not going to see any better or any less of results by taking 1 or 10 types of creatine.
Agreed.
Especially ones that you're not too sure what the dosages are in a proprietary blend. The benefits of this is creatine does a few things. It increases power, increases strength, increases water retention. So companies that we're speaking about now, these last 3, are looking at other ingredients that yield the same results, but in different pathways.
Different mechanisms.
So, for example, like taurine is going to be increasing osmosis, like creatine does. Betaine anhydrous is also a methyl donor, the way creatine works, but we're on a different way of decreasing homocysteine, the way creatine doesn't work, and also is increasing osmosis, which you'll find betaine anhydrous in all 3 of these products because it's one of the most growing and valuable ingredients on the market, just behind creatine, to be fair. You've seen a lot, and we've got red contango missing as well,
yes,
which also yields 3 types of creatine: monohydrate, magna power, and hydrochloride, and 2.5 grams of betaine, and taurine, what we saw about as well.
That's just 10 grams of creatine in there?
So yeah, you're getting a lot. So yeah, you're getting that, and the synergistic ones like taurine, and you get ornithine in there as well, which again increases endurance, like creatine, betaine, and stuff like that will do.
So moving on from Cre-Aten to BPI's best creatine.
Yeah, again you get creatine monohydrate, anhydrous, magna power, creatine phosphate, which is phosphate bond, creatine alpha ketoglutarate, which again will still increase the absorption of creatine, nothing more, nothing less. pH buffer crealkaline. You get 500 milligrams of betaine anhydrous and 50 milligrams of Himalayan pink salt, which will increase electrolytes as well, and probably the absorption. I'm not too sure why they put that, which reason of them they've put it in there, but betaine anhydrous as well, to note, it was 1.25 grams, the clinical study twice a day, yielded over 5 pounds of muscle gain and 6 pounds of fat loss in only 4 weeks against the placebo group, and seeing massive amounts of strength increase. It decreased levels of homocysteine, which is a health degenerative biomarker for heart and stroke, heart disease and strokes and stuff like that. So betaine anhydrous is absolutely phenomenal for increasing strength, muscle and fat loss as well.
Just a point to note on the BPI Sports Best Creatine, it's a 4 gram creatine blend across 6 different types of creatine. BPI put it in as a prop blend. It would be interesting to know just what levels are what.
Essentially, me and you both know, look at the first ingredient and just know what it is.
Because it's essentially just a little word about proprietary blends, because you're going to come across this in creatine formulas, which is what we're covering today. Essentially, because BPI have put a proprietary blend of 4 grams, I don't know if you can see that. Essentially, it could be 3.99 grams of creatine monohydrate and 100 milligrams of the other 5. The other 5 sources split between 5. We don't know. That's why at tnutrition, I'd argue essentially we're against proprietary blends.
Yeah, definitely. On the plus side, it's 4 grams of all stuff that works.
Correct.
On the downside, they may be putting in things like crealkaline, creatine, alpha ketoglutarate for the label claims.
Yeah.
But even if it is, you're still getting. That's why we'll stock this one, because it's a proprietary blend that you can't get wrong. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe we wouldn't sell it on the basis it's got creatine phosphate in, because we aren't sure how much, but it's 4 grams of actual creatine per se, from which you can't go wrong with, as we say.
It could have 3.5 grams of creatine phosphate, and it could have 100 milligrams.
Either way, you're going to get a good result out of it, which is why we're willing to sell it.
And finally, onto my personal favourite. I don't know if you...
I love it, absolutely love it.
There you go. Ghost Size. This is fairly new to market, I think it's fair to say. I think it's only been out...
Especially to the UK.
Yeah, it's only been out... when did we first have meetings? April? May, June, July. It's only been out 5 months. Comes in neutral flavour. Some people can hack it, other people say avoid it like the plague.
Comes in sour watermelon as well.
Comes in sour watermelon too. Sour watermelon nukes. I believe they partnered up with a unique flavouring.
Sour nukes, yeah.
So what's different about this is it's a fully disclosed label. So not like the...
No, it's not Sour Nukes. Sour Nukes is Brainbridge. Sour Warheads it is. I'm getting confused between Brainbridge and that. Something to click then.
So what's different about this is it's a fully disclosed label. So there's no proprietary blends in it. I'll just run over the label now. So it's a full yield creatine of 5 grams, which means the creatines in there yield 5 grams. 3.21 grams of creatine hydrochloride and 2.84 grams of creatine monohydrate. So in total that is 6.05 grams of creatines yielding 5 grams of actual creatine.
But then it's good to point out before 2.5 grams of actual creatine hydrochloride, what we said before, 200 pound male, didn't need one, about 2 grams anyway. So 2.5 grams of that, then 2.5 grams of creatine mono on top of that.
Yes.
But it really potent form of creatine, this one.
It's not just that as well. I don't think it's mine and Kort's favourite. The simple inclusion of estrogen
increases the absorption. It's been shown in studies to increase the absorption of creatine by 33%. So if I tell this to people when we're talking about it, take beta-alanine, take trimethylglycine, take epicatogen out of it, it's already 33% better than any other creatine on the market because you're getting 33% more. Never mind the fact that it's actually telling you the yielded amount of it's 5 grams. Never mind the fact that creatine hydrochloride is said to be 6 to 7 times more potent than monohydrate per gram for gram. You're also getting 33% more of it active in your system just via
due to the estrogen. That's why it's essentially bottom of the label, as it's the lowest dose of 50 milligrams out of the whole ingredient profile. But that's why I mentioned a second. Essentially,
that's the clinical dose of estrogen.
But then this is the exciting part is, alongside the creatine, which essentially we're here to talk about today, and the absorption factors, you've also got betaine at the clinical dose of 2.5 grams.
Yeah.
Carnosine beta-alanine, which the majority of people in the industry would say it's the best type of beta-alanine going.
Yeah,
essentially, it's the
trademark.
Yeah. That's at 2 grams. So that's the clinical on that is 3.2 a day.
Yeah. The benefit of that is that the 3.2 is going to give you a lot of itchiness. That's the ingredient that gives you itchiness. The way they've gone in there at 2, it's not because it's less effective. It's going to be as effective because it's got a build-up tolerance like creatine. The tolerance some people don't like because you've got to get to 178 grams of creatine beta-alanine for it to work effectively. So again, 2 grams continuously every day is going to get you there. The clinical they say is 3.2, but 2 provides you with the benefits of beta-alanine, but doesn't give you the itchiness.
And the idea is as well, if you're getting 2 grams from your Ghost size, there will be a pre-workout product or another Ghost pre-workout product, for example, with beta-alanine in.
Yeah.
So you'll get actually over the clinical dosage per day of 3.2 grams because Ghost size has 2 grams in. This is also a unique product because I don't think I've seen it anywhere else. Certainly I haven't. I don't know if you have, Kort. But it's got epicatogen in, which is from green tea. It's a 200 milligram dose.
Epicatogen is a myostatin inhibitor. It's found in dark chocolate and green tea. Epicatogen's been shown in a 7-day study to increase follistatin by 50%, which had a consequential decrease of myostatin by 16%. So how myostatin works, myostatin is a set of satellite cells that control muscle growth and slow us down. The more myostatin you have, the harder you're going to find it to gain muscle. The more follistatin is what we want. The higher follistatin increases, you actually have a decrease in myostatin. Not only that, it increases nitric oxide production, so it's going to aid in a massive pump. In a one single dose increased nitric oxide production by 54%, which is absolutely phenomenal. It decreased blood sugar against placebo groups, it decreased cholesterol, there's blood pressure as well. Epicatogen is one of the super ingredients which is getting used more and more and more.
Commonly now,
there are dedicated Enigma.
Yes.
Is an epicatogen product.
Yep.
It's with quercetin, a form of green tea which helps the absorption, estrogen, bioperin, and cocodrol as well. But the benefits from epicatogen are going to be seen a lot more in a lot more products. You're seeing them in pre-workouts because of its nitric oxide production. You're seeing them in muscle building, creatine formulas like it is now. You're seeing them by themselves. You're seeing them everywhere because the studies are piling up, and the actual endless benefits of epicatogen are phenomenal.
The thing with epicatogen too is I don't think you can OD on it. There's
No, the general dosing of it is 1 milligram per pound body weight.
Yeah.
The only way you may overdose on it is that if you've suffered from low blood pressure anyway, and you're taking something which decreases low blood pressure, then you genuinely stay away from things that like epicatogen and some form of nitrates, which lower blood pressure as well.
I think it's full credit to Ghost actually that we've kind of deviated and we're talking about epicatogen now when
It's a creatine product.
It's a creatine product, but that's that's full credit to
Yeah.
Ghost. It's essentially.
Oh, it's not. That's why I call it a size product, because it's a size.
It's creatine based, and the only reason why it's creatine based is that's the majority of what's in there.
So it's a creatine, but it's a size form. It's something that's going to increase your capability of doing more reps. It's going to increase your capability of growing more muscle. It's going to increase the capability, like betaine and anhydrous and creatine, give you a massive pump as well, which yields a whole list of benefits by itself. So it's going to give you a pump. You're going to get the betaine and anhydrous benefits. You're going to get the creatine benefits, epicatogen, beta-alanine, and estrogen to increase the absorption of them all.
So small.
Said that in one breath then.
Do you need some epicatogen?
Yeah.
So small product plug. $29.95 in stores, available in 2 flavours.
Really worth it.
30 servings in a tub, so again that's a month's worth. Works out £1 a day, and take 1 serving per day. So if you're going to go for a creatine formula, tnutrition would recommend Ghost size.
Perfect.
Thank you for tuning in to the Weekly Tea. See you next week.